I was under the impression that Francis just decided that he didn't need a management team anymore. I know we've been working together for, 5 years, but I think I could just run this on my own. And I was like, what is he thinking? So I was assuming he was going to sign with another manager. At least at that point, you kind of go, all right, it seems pretty cold-blooded, dude. Like, this guy's been taking the exact same risks as you. And then so I'm like, and he just clipped him? Like, that is ice cold, man. That's what my impression was. And it turns out that what actually happened is not that at all. What happened, now I try to break stories on here when I can, but when I have actually really valuable information, I try to tell you guys at the very beginning of the video so that you know we're going somewhere important. And on this video, that is exactly the case, because the Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, UFC thing is obviously one of the biggest stories in combat sports. Probably the biggest story that is happening or has happened in a very long time due to the potential impact of specific outcomes, okay? And I have very important information to share with you guys today that should, illuminate the entire situation. Because you have Tyson Fury calling for the Francis Ngannou fight. Now, I am going to tell you what I think he's doing in terms of whether or not he is actually trying to get that fight or negotiating or both. And I'm going to tell you a lot more about Francis' situation that I learned, because his situation is very different than I realized. Okay, very different. I did a long video, and obviously I've been in the know of this thing. Anybody who's been watching my channel for a very long time knows I've been in the know of this thing. I've been ahead of everything. I've said things, people, oh, Jesse doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Every single thing that I said has come to fruition. Every single thing. Literally 100% accuracy on this story. So, yeah. And I mean, listen, on the last one, we're not going to be changing anything that I talked about. It's just new additional information that gives tremendous context to Francis' situation that I was not clear on. That in hindsight now I totally understand. So we're going to talk about that and talk about how important it is that things happen very quickly. That things happen very, very quickly, in my opinion. So that is what we are going to do. And I am in the zone, son. I've got videos to do today. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do one about the post that Sergey did on his Twitter, where he did not understand the translation of the meme that he shared, which is literally one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I was crying. I was laughing so hard last night. When you see me, put that up. The Sergey, whatever his name is, interesting. Nice, dude. Oh, you don't remember his name? I remember the big 260-pound white Russian heavyweight in the UFC whose name is escaping me right now. That is going to be the funniest thing ever. And then also, I got to do one on Andrew Tate's situation, and then I got another one for Jesse on Everything. If you don't follow Jesse on Everything, that's my other channel. You should definitely go do that. And that's what we're going to do. Now, like on every single video, please subscribe to this channel if you have not yet. If this is your second video or more, that's the deal that we make. That's what it costs. I'm not asking, okay? This is what it costs. It's free. It's free to watch my content. You just have to subscribe to the channel, because that is the enormous benefit that I get from you watching. That's it. Handshake, thank you. Don't be the person that just steals the candy bar from my gas station. I don't make that much money doing this, dude. Gas station people, they can't just have people stealing their candy bars. I need you to live up to your end. So please do that. Click subscribe and forget about it. Thank you. I know you guys don't subscribe to other channels. It'll be a one-time deal. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Thank you. Best community in MMA. Anyway, so here's the deal. So, as we discussed, right, I guess actually I can't just take for granted that people have seen all of my videos. So let's just rewind super quick. Francis Ngannou was in a contract negotiation with the UFC for the last 2 years. In all honesty, this has been going on for 2 years, if you guys are unclear on that. So they offered him a new deal 100% before the Stipe fight, potentially before the fight prior to the Stipe fight, but 100%. New contract offered a big one before the Stipe fight. He turned it down. He starched Stipe and became the heavyweight champion with one fight left on his deal. Okay. So now they did that because they thought Stipe was going to beat him. Let's just be honest here, right? They didn't think he was going to win. So he wins. Then he goes into the Gane fight. They offered him, they were throwing the kitchen sink to try to get him to sign a new deal before the Gane fight, right? He goes in with a torn meniscus. The UFC doctors cleared him for that fight. He has a torn meniscus. External doctors are saying, no, dude, no. And here's the craziest thing about that. And I don't think people think about that. I don't know if I've said this on the channel or not, but I've definitely talked about this a lot externally, which is this. If he didn't fight against Ngannou, okay, he did not have to fight out his contract, okay? Just for the record, he never had to fight Ngannou. He was a free agent. He became a free agent in December because of the sunset clause, because he was on the same contract for 5 years. It had a 5-year expiration date, okay? If he did not fight Ngannou and he went and got surgery on his meniscus and that, I mean, dude, a year recovery, of course, I mean, you could do that all day. Oh yeah, I was scheduled to fight Ngannou, but I have a torn meniscus. Here is everything. You could see all the MRIs and everything. I clearly have a torn meniscus. He goes and gets surgery. It's December 15th. I'm a free agent. He could have done that. He didn't have to take the risk. And he fought him anyway. And he won in heroic fashion. And then now we get to the end. The UFC offered him all kinds of things, but not the freedom that he desired. And now he's talking about going in boxing. However, he finds himself in a precarious position because he does not have management. The management that was managing him through this entire process, he is not with anymore. That is one of the main things that we're going to talk about today, is how that actually happened, because I was confused about how this happened, and now I know how it happened, and it lets Francis completely off the hook as far as I'm concerned, in terms of like how this happened. Like, I completely understand how this happened and how it happened for Francis, because candidly, I'll just be straight with you guys. When I found out that he had left his management and didn't have a manager, I was like, what is he doing? Like, what is he doing? What does he think he's going to do with that? Like, how is he going to do what he wants to do without a team of people? Like, you can't do that. There's no fighter who's ever put together a super fight like this by themselves. It's never. Floyd, Floyd owns blah, blah. Okay, but he's got a team that's actually doing it. You can just like do it by yourself. Okay, so that was where I was at. I thought he was just trying to wing this thing. And I think that's what a lot of people think. That's not what happened. That's just not what happened. Okay. He didn't fire his manager. That's not what happened. Okay. So, and I'll get into that in a second. But what the big development, just to put a stamp on that point, is where I was at last week. Is I'm looking at this situation. I'm going, okay, Francis, you are a free agent now. You are a fire free agent. By the way, just to reiterate, as I'm talking, I say this in every video when I talk about, he's my favorite heavyweight ever. I love Francis. I will never root against him ever. I want him to win everything. I want him to make $100 billion. I want him to knock out Tyson Fury. I want him to win everything. So if I'm critical of the situation he's in, it's just because I'm saying I am a business-minded person, and I'm like, this is what needs to happen, because I could see the problem solving that needs to happen. So last week, what I was saying is, you will never be more valuable than you are right now. Every minute that goes by where you have not announced what you're going to do next, you become less valuable. That is a fact. This is like, you know how they always talk about, it's like, if you just take your cash and you put it in the bank and you don't invest it, it's just losing value at all times. That's why you're supposed to invest your money. It's just losing value all the time because of inflation. We're always creating more money, which makes the money that you have less valuable. That is just an objective fact. It's exactly the same. His stock is literally just going like this as long as he has not announced specifically what he's going to do, okay? Or at the very least, zeroed in on a couple very specific options. Not, I think I want to box. Not that. That's not what I'm talking about. I am going to box this guy or this guy on this date at this stadium. Like we can get into specifics immediately. Every minute it goes like this. Now he's starting very high. But this is just a fact. And one of the big nuclear bombs that is, it's going like this, and then somewhere on the chart there is a bomb that's going to go off. Okay, you need to make sure that we have established exactly what you're doing before this bomb goes off. Now, can any of you guys tell me what the bomb is? Put it in the comments before I even say it, okay? I mean, you're not going to be able to type it out fast enough, but what's the bomb? What's the bomb? Okay? What's the bomb? The bomb is John Jones wins the title, okay? If John Jones wins the title for UFC before Francis is announced and we've gotten very specific what he's doing, the UFC fans just subconsciously and consciously will not consider Francis the real champion anymore. They just won't. Like, they'll be like, yeah, he's the champ, but like, Sean Jones, dude. Like, it's Sean Jones. He's never lost. He beat Cyril. He's the champ. It's like, or okay, yeah, I guess he's the champ, but who cares, right? Like, who cares? That is the bomb that will go off. He absolutely has to be specifically like doing something before that happens. He has to, okay? He really needs to do it immediately because we're going like this, okay? So that is the situation that he's in, and he doesn't have management, okay? And he doesn't have management. So I'm like, dude, something needs to happen immediately. He needs to, something needs to happen. He needs to get a team. They need to get with the Tyson Fury and all those people, and he needs to set something up. And then right after I said that, Tyson Fury starts tweeting, "Let's do this, Francis Ngannou. Let's go." And I'm like, boom, son. Okay? That's like, just throw the man a lifeline and let's go. Okay? Now, is it possible that Tyson Fury's team could just offer him a check? They just do the whole thing. Because a lot of these boxers who fight against Tyson Fury, and they get $8 million. I mean, like, the other side of these fights get a big number. Even guys who, like, where it's the only time they're ever getting a big number. You know what I mean? Like, well, pick one of his opponents that you've never heard of and look at what they made. Now look at what they made for the fight directly before that. You're talking about, like, there are numbers where there's no way the same person made these two paychecks, right? This guy he's making $8 million for this fight. That's more than he's made in his entire career at a multiple of like 5. You know what I mean? Over his entire career. So he could theoretically just like sign with Tyson Fury and I guess just be like the other side of an entirely produced fight from Tyson Fury. Here's the problem with that. You are not going to be able to, you're going to make so much less money if you are not involved actively with a team that is putting together the event, the sponsorships and all of that stuff to where you have some level of control and it's a co-produced event. The difference in money will be astronomical. Okay? So like in my mind, he needs a team and he needs it quick, like really, really fast. He needs a team right now and they need to start working with Tyson Fury. But here's the thing. Tyson Fury is saying, let's go do this. And I'm sure you guys want me to bring up the fact that he said, let's do it in 4-ounce gloves. My idea. Absolutely. I think they should definitely do that because that makes it interesting to the public. Okay. So it's like, if they just do like a traditional boxing match in the whatever, I don't know. I don't even know what ounce gloves are heavyweight, 12 or whatever. I don't know. I honestly don't know how much the heavyweight gloves weigh, but nonetheless, if they do that in just traditional gloves, you're going to have a hard time convincing the public that Francis has a chance in that fight, okay? Now, people will watch it because it's a spectacle and it's Tyson Fury, but you will have way less people watch it than if you have something that makes it feel like this is a hybrid type of event. MMA gloves all day long. That changes things immensely. Everyone is going to pay to see that just to see Tyson Fury fight in MMA gloves for the first time, okay? Now, I've said this before, and I will say it again. I think the MMA gloves make it more likely that Tyson beats Francis than the other way. Just because, think about how Tyson Fury fights, dude. He's a 6'9", and he moves, and he's a straight punch surgeon, okay? You don't have these big gloves to help, you're with those tiny, like you have to, you're not going to be able to block his jab. He's going to just he's going to stick that thing in your face all day. He's going to be incredibly challenging to beat in 4-ounce gloves. But are we doing this because we want to, we're doing this for money. Like, we're doing this for money. Okay, anyway, so that's what it is. They need to get together and they need to do this and they need to do it now. Like, they need to do it right now. They need to set the terms, whatever, because there's part of this that Tyson Fury is actually simultaneously negotiating against Usyk, okay? Like, he's trying to do 2 fights at once. The idea that, so they need to try to swoop in there and either get this fight right now or make sure that it's solid after. Because who knows? What if he lost to Usyk, dude? What if Usyk goes first and Usyk beats him? Okay? Like now, right this second, for every reason that I've just stated, John Jones, value going down. What if he goes and fights Usyk? Right now, today, get a manager and get this thing going right now. Anyway, so that's what that is. Now, I want to talk about how the management thing happened because, again, I was unclear on this. So I was under the impression that Francis just decided that he didn't need a management team anymore. That it was just kind of like, thanks for all the work. And obviously his manager's Markel Martin, who was with CAA. So I thought that he just was kind of like, well, thanks, Markel. Like, I know we've been working together for, 5 years, but I think I could just run this on my own. And I was like, and again, this wasn't like based on any, I just knew he wasn't, he wasn't with them anymore. And so I was just like, what is he thinking? So I was assuming he was going to sign with another manager. At least at that point, you kind of go, all right, like, it seems pretty cold-blooded, dude. Like, this guy's been like, taking the exact same risks as you, not at the same financial impact, but he's taking the identical risk. If he's been advising you to not take these UFC contracts, he stands to make an enormous amount of money if you sign the UFC contract. So he is rolling the dice with you every single time. The reason that you're in the free agent situation is because you bet on yourself 100%. And if Markel had been telling you, sign that contract, go sign that contract. You should take this UFC contract. Then absolutely, you're like, I did this by myself. Okay? And regardless of what you would have done had he advised you to take the UFC contract, if he was advising you also, no, let's bet on you, then he's on that ride with you. He's been on that ride with you from the beginning. He bet on you like you bet on yourself. Straight up. And then so I'm like, and he just clipped him? Like, that is ice cold, man. I just thought that was very, very cold-blooded. Business is cold, though. What do I know? I don't have there's all kinds of information I may not have, but that's what my impression was. And it turns out that what actually happened is not that at all. What happened is that CAA, which is the agents, if you don't know what CAA is one of the largest talent representation companies, entertainment companies in the world, along with Endeavor, okay? So Endeavor, that owns UFC, is CAA's number one competitor, okay? These two companies despise each other, hate each other. They are Ford and Chevy, dude. Like, except Ford and Chevy with probably a lot more bad blood, right? So Endeavor owns UFC, which is basically, what percentage of the combat sports industry total do you think UFC represents? And Endeavor, their number one competitor, owns it, okay? So they had Francis, they had some other guys, but they looked at this I'm speculating, okay? I'm speculating about why they shuttered it, but they shut down the entire MMA division because they're looking at it and they go, okay, we have Francis, we have Kevin Lee, we have, what's his name? Roundtree. We have some other, they had a fair number of guys, but they're going to be negotiating against Endeavor. And our stable is not big enough for us to be able to negotiate heavily against them, right? Think about like if Ali Abdelaziz and his stable of fighters was at CAA, they could really hold it. They could hold Endeavor's feet to the fire if like all of a sudden all the champions were like, we're not fighting, dude. Like think of all of think about all the guys Ali has. If they did what Francis did all at once, they would have the UFC completely vice gripped by the balls, but they just didn't have that size or that, it's just a different situation. They basically, in terms of leverage, they had Francis and they just were like, we're getting out of this business. And so they shuttered the entire MMA division. So CAA shut down the MMA division, right? They just like, we're out of this business completely. So when Francis finds this out, like he thinks, he doesn't know, he doesn't understand what's happening. Like he thinks that he's still with CAA and that Markel is leaving CAA and whatever. Like, so the way it's literally just it's like almost like a miscommunication because he thinks of himself as represented by CAA and all of a sudden CAA is like, yeah, we still exist, but like, we just don't do MMA anymore. And so he's in this situation where he thinks he's going to re-sign with the UFC anyway. So he just doesn't have management. Like he just doesn't have management. He just didn't have management. That's literally exactly what happened. It's like, he's all right. And then at the time he thinks he's going to re-sign with UFC. And then he finds out that the UFC had no intentions of actually coming through on the specific terms that he was after. And so he ends up going into free agency unrepresented, which again, he should solve immediately. So it's not like he betrayed anybody. It's not like they betrayed him. There's no like bad blood or anything. It's just a confusing situation. My opinion, this is what I would do. Okay? This is exactly what I would do. If I was Francis, I would use this event to launch a, like Conor did Paradigm. Do that. That's exactly what I would do. I would use, like, just because this could be such an enormous event that you could use this as a staging point to launch your own deal, right? What independent management team would not jump over themselves to work with Francis on this project and then that become a launching pad that he can then do additional events with for himself, for other people, etc. Because he's independent. But think about this. If he doesn't do this, what's he going to do? Seriously. If Francis doesn't do a big bonanza boxing match, what's he going to do? He's not going to sign with PFL, dude. Maybe ONE FC, but who's he going to fight over there? Who's a heavyweight that's like, oh, I'd really love to see him fight that guy? You know what I mean? It's like he is, like, whether he's saying it or not, he knows this is what he's doing. He is going to box. And I encourage that because that was his dream from the beginning, and he's going to make an astronomical amount of money, and nothing would make me happier than if I could in some way contribute to the success story that he is going to have. But nonetheless, he's going to have it. Anybody who's been betting against Francis has been losing money all the way along. So that is where we're at. And those are my thoughts on what he should do. And that's what it is. I love you guys. Peace. So I'm just going to throw this at the end of all of my videos. So I've been looking for ways that I can connect with my viewers better, like things that I can do that are interactive, right? I like talking to you guys. I like playing with you guys. I like you guys live stream. I love that stuff. And so I partnered with a daily fantasy company that is doing these like prop bet games where you basically are betting on, you know, will this guy have this stat over under, basically? You know, will this guy get at least one knockdown in this fight? Will this guy get at least 70, significant strikes? Will there be 40 significant strikes combined in the first round? All this stuff around, UFC. Now, obviously, they do the same exact bet structure for NFL, NBA, etc. But for me, they're going to do these. You could do them, on their own, but they're going to do these contests that are specifically for me and my fans. So it'll be Jesse on Fire. You guys will get to join. I will be in them. We'll be playing against each other. I'm going to be live streaming so that I could talk to you guys. We can talk through the chat. The people who are in the contest, you guys can be, like in the chat, like, I'm going to be like, oh, so Moreno's in first. Which one of you guys is Moreno? And you could, like all caps be like, that's me, son. And we'll be like, all right, well, if this guy gets a submission, you win. Right? I'm going to do additional prizes. There, the buy-ins are going to be small. Like this is not like about like you guys spending a bunch of money. Like there'll be like $5 buy-ins or something. And then, there will be like the cash will go to winners and stuff, but that's just kind of entry fee. And then I'm going to do additional prizes on all of them. And the goal is to get 1,000 people into one of them. Now it'll take a while, obviously, but when we get to one where we have 1,000 people in it, I will do a bananas prize. That is my promise to you guys. Whenever we get to 1,000 people in one of these contests, I will do a ridiculous prize, like something outlandish, better than just bring you to a UFC. Like maybe, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe bring you to a UFC and we sit in the front row or something, and it's free for you or whatever. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But yeah, so the link is in the description. And you could sign up. They're going to do a deposit match for you. So if you put in $10, you'll get $20. It's up to $100. If you do $5, I think it's a $10 minimum and you get 20. Then if you do 15, you get 30. If you do 50, you get 100. If you do 100, you get 200. It's relatively straightforward. And you can mess around with the games now. And then when a UFC one is coming up, I will send you guys a link and you guys can join the specific Jesse on Fire one. It'll be awesome. So you use the link in the description. Like I said, this is not about like juking a bunch of money out of you guys. So I think minimum is $10 to get started. And then when the contests start, we will get on it. It's going to be super fun. And I'm going to live stream and you guys will be able to, it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. And I'm really excited about this because I had this idea for my fantasy sports company, this exact idea where I was like, let people play with their, their viewers or their fans or whatever. It's like, let them see your face while you're interacting with them. And now through another company, I get to do this myself. So I'm very excited about this. So anyway, jump in. Let's do this.